It's been a while since I last made a short film. Over the past 2 years, I've been focused on creating social media content and working various jobs. Welcome to reality. After a year of studying at high school in Christiania, I decided to do something different for once, to travel the world and experience something new. So, I went to Vietnam, alone. Before leaving for Vietnam, I began questioning some of the choices I'd made and where they had led me. What truly makes me happy? Did I do the right thing by following my dreams? Should I have realized 10 years ago that I had chosen a very difficult path? Why did I take that path, knowing how tough it would be? And why do I still love making films despite everything? I think we all ask ourselves these kinds of questions at certain points in life, especially when we're standing alone, especially when you're a lone wolf, and there's nothing romantic about that. While in Vietnam, I came up with the idea of a short film exploring the multiverse, inspired by everything everywhere all at once. Since I already knew how to create split screen scenes, I thought it could be an interesting concept. When I returned to Norway, I started writing a screenplay based on that multiverse idea. It was structured into 3 chapters, featuring 6 characters and a cold-blooded villain. But after reading through the script and shooting some test footage, I realized it was far too complex to film. From my experience making my previous short film, Past, Present and Future, I knew this new project would require too much time and energy. I still remember how exhausting it was to play 3 characters in the same room. A year went by. While working at XXL in early 2025, I started brainstorming other ideas. Eventually, I made a simple choice to create another short film using split screen. The original title was A Chance, where 2 characters meet and share stories about their life choices and experiences. The character on the left was an adventurer, the one on the right, isolated. A story split in 2. I filmed it over a weekend. But when I finished editing and watched it back, something felt off. Especially the second half of A Chance. While the first part had a comedic tone and dark humor, the second half just didn't work. It didn't connect with the first part. It felt too long and had dark undertones that I later realized were too extreme for the story. The character on the right was meant to be sympathetic, someone who uses anger to mask vulnerability. But in the final cut, there were no hints of his emotional struggles early on. Instead, he came across as tasteless and unlikable. It didn't feel right to give him a chance at redemption. The more I watched that first version, the more I grew to hate it. The storytelling, the tone, the message, it all felt wrong. I had made a short film full of humor, but with an underlying message that felt unethical and dangerously misguided. A few months later, I revisited the project and wrote down everything that didn't work. Then, I decided to cut the entire second half and start fresh. I wrote a new script, created storyboards, and shot new test scenes. Since I had cut my hair, I set the second chapter 1 month after the first. I also changed the title from A Chance to One Man's Meat is Another Man's Poison, a title I felt suited the story much better. The second chapter turned out very different from the first. If chapter 1 was a comedy, chapter 2 became a chase thriller. I kept small details to tie the 2 parts together, like the bottle of magic soda. The color grading in part 2 is blue and dark, reflecting how cold the relationship between the 2 characters has become. Their hair is shorter, and so is their patience with each other. The character on the left now wears a dark shirt, symbolizing his attempt to fit into an environment that's relentlessly toxic, like a black sheep trying to blend in. The character on the right wears a red shirt, representing his temper and acting as a warning sign. He has become dangerous. To me, he represents the darker side of human nature. The final scene, where the protagonist looks down at the antagonist's corpse, was shot in the evening. I had originally planned to shoot it in the afternoon, but had to postpone it. That change gave the scene a different feel, as if it took place hours after the fight, and it ended up becoming a kind of prologue to the film. I even thought it wasn't scripted that way. The phone conversation in that scene was recorded at 1:30 in the morning. Like in my early projects, I dubbed parts of the dialogue in the screams. Would you please come? Thank you. Would you please come? Thank you. The shot of the antagonist's head on the floor was created with split screen and blood effects to emphasize the brutality. And bloody hell, it looked good. I had a lot more fun working on this new version than the original. It felt refreshing to take on new challenges and be reminded why I love making films in the first place. I had to remind myself that you don't get far by playing it safe. Even though I often work alone and sometimes miss having a crew, that's no excuse not to create. It's better to just make things rather than wait for the perfect moment. The great thing is, if you keep learning and creating, you get to express your own creativity, your own voice. And that's very cool. Thanks for watching.